Imagine walking into a room full of people you've never met before. No one has said a word to you yet. No introductions, no conversations, just silence. But somehow you already know who's confident, who's nervous, who's hiding something, and who's trying to impress. You can sense the energy, read the posture, and feel the truth before anyone even opens their mouth. That's not magic, that's not luck, that's a skill. And the truth is, every single person in this world is broadcasting who they are without realizing it. The way they stand, the way their eyes move, the way they pause before answering, these are all signals, silent messages most people ignore. But here's the problem. Too many people walk through life blind. They take words at face value. They believe every smile. They ignore their gut when something feels wrong. And then they wonder why they get manipulated, why they get hurt, why they never saw it coming. The reality is simple. If you want to protect yourself, if you want to gain the upper hand, if you want to truly understand people, you must master the art of reading them without saying a word. Because words can lie, but the body, the eyes, the energy, they don't. And once you unlock this ability, you'll never look at people the same way again. You'll walk into any situation, whether it's a business deal, a date, a job interview, or even a conflict, and you'll know more than the person across from you thinks you do. You'll see what others miss. You'll detect the truth before it's spoken. And that, my friend, gives you power most people will never have. Now let me ask you, what would your life look like if you could never be fooled again? If you could spot dishonesty the moment it appeared? If you could sense hidden agendas before they affected you? That's the journey we're about to take, and by the end you'll realize that silence doesn't just hide the truth, it reveals it louder than words ever could. The very first tool you have in mastering the art of reading people is your eyes. Not just seeing, but truly observing. Most people walk around with their eyes open, yet blind to what is happening right in front of them. They see, but they don't notice. They look, but they don't interpret. They miss the signs, the shifts, the subtle signals that reveal more than words ever could. If you want to be the kind of person who cannot be fooled, cannot be misled, and cannot be blindsided, then you must learn to use your eyes as your first weapon of awareness. Think about it. Before anyone speaks, before you shake their hand, before they even acknowledge your presence, their body is already telling you a story. Their shoulders might be slouched, hinting at insecurity or fatigue. Their chest might be puffed out, suggesting dominance or a need to assert power. Their eyes might dart around the room, signaling discomfort, deceit, or fear. You don't need them to tell you who they are. They are already showing you. The problem is, most people aren't paying attention. Observation is not about staring or making people uncomfortable. It's about training yourself to notice what others overlook. When you walk into a room, you should scan it the way a pilot scans his cockpit before takeoff. You're not just looking for what's there, you're looking for what's out of place. Who's avoiding eye contact? Who's too eager to shake your hand? Who keeps glancing at the door as if they're ready to leave? Who's leaning in, trying to connect, and who's leaning away, protecting themselves? These are clues, and the more you see them, the clearer the picture becomes. So most people underestimate the power of eyes. Your eyes can pick up the smallest details if you teach them to. For instance, micro-expressions, those fleeting split-second facial expressions people make before they can control their emotions. Someone might flash anger for a fraction of a second before they force a smile. Another person might show fear in their eyes, even though their voice sounds calm. If you learn to catch these tiny signals, you'll start to see the truth people are trying to cover. It's not just about people either. It's about environments. Your eyes should be trained to notice the setting, the details that tell you what's really going on. In a business meeting, notice who positions themselves closest to the leader. At a dinner, notice who dominates the conversation and who fades into the background. When someone enters a room, do others stiffen up or relax? These silent cues tell you about relationships, hierarchies, and hidden tensions without a single word being spoken. But here's the thing. Awareness takes discipline. It's not enough to glance. You must slow yourself down and observe with intention. Most people are too distracted by their phones, their thoughts, or their own insecurities to see what's happening around them. They miss the signs and then later they say, I didn't see that coming. The truth is, the signs were there, they just weren't paying attention. When you start using your eyes as your weapon, you begin to see patterns. You'll notice how someone acts when they're confident versus when they're nervous. You'll see how people behave differently when they want something from you compared to when they don't. You'll realize that certain gestures repeat themselves across personalities. For example, someone who constantly touches their face when they speak is often anxious or uncertain. Someone who keeps checking their watch may be disengaged or eager to leave. Someone who spreads their belongings out on a table is silently trying to claim territory. Now, here's where the skill becomes powerful. When you can read people before they speak, you take control of the interaction. You know where they stand before they even try to convince you. If someone is about to sell you a lie, you'll sense it in their hesitation, in the way their body shifts, in the way their eyes refuse to meet yours. If someone is genuinely on your side, you'll feel it in their openness, in the way their body relaxes around you. This is not guessing, it's reading. And the more you practice, the sharper your awareness becomes. Think of the times in your life when you ignored your eyes. That friend who smiled at you, but whose eyes showed jealousy. That business partner who shook your hand firmly, but whose body leaned back as if pulling away. That date who laughed at all your jokes, but couldn't stop scanning the room, looking for someone better to talk to. You saw those signs, but maybe you dismissed them. And later, when things went wrong, you realized you had the warning all along. Your eyes give you power because they connect you to reality, not just words. People can tell you whatever they want, but their body, their energy, their unguarded moments will reveal what they don't want you to know. And when you can see that clearly, you become impossible to manipulate. So start practicing. The next time you're in public, don't bury yourself in your phone. Watch people. Notice who seems in charge without saying anything. Notice who shrinks into the background. Notice how couples walk. Do they move in sync, or does one walk ahead while the other trails behind? Watch the way people's expressions change when they think no one is looking. Train your eyes like a detective, because that is what you are becoming, a detective of human behavior. Remember, your eyes are not just for seeing, they are for reading, scanning, protecting, and empowering you. The more you sharpen this weapon, the more control you gain over your environment and the people in it. And once you master it, you will never be blind again. Because when you truly observe, when you see the truth, people try to hide. You don't just walk into a room, you command it without saying a single word. Every human being is speaking at all times, even in complete silence. The body has a language of its own, and it is far more honest than the words that leave someone's mouth. Words can be carefully chosen, rehearsed, and manipulated, but the body is raw. It leaks the truth in posture, in gestures, in small movements people don't even realize they're making. If you want to master the art of reading people, you must become fluent in this unspoken language, because it will tell you far more than any speech, promise, or explanation ever will. Think about the last time someone told you they were fine, but their shoulders were tight, their arms crossed, and their eyes downcast. The words said one thing, but the body screamed another. Or think about a time someone smiled at you, but it didn't reach their eyes. The mouth curved upward, but the energy wasn't genuine.
You felt it, didn't you?
That uneasy tension inside of you wasn't random. It was your subconscious reading the body language. Even if your conscious mind tried to ignore it, what most people fail to do is trust that reading. The way someone carries themselves reveals volumes. A confident person walks into a room differently. They take up space. Their chest is open, their shoulders are back, their chin is level. They don't shrink themselves, they project certainty without saying a word. In contrast, someone unsure of themselves makes themselves smaller. Their shoulders hunch, their arms fold, their steps are hesitant. You don't need to hear their story, you can already see it. And once you train yourself to observe, these signs become impossible to miss. One of the clearest indicators of someone's inner state is their hands. People often think they control their words, but their hands betray them. Notice the person who constantly fidgets with jewelry, taps their fingers, or rubs their palms together. They're restless, anxious, or self-soothing. Someone who hides their hands in their pockets is subconsciously protecting themselves, closing off their openness. On the other hand, a person who gestures freely while speaking is often more comfortable and transparent. Hands are extensions of the mind. Pay attention to them. Then there's posture. When someone leans in, they're engaged, curious, and interested. When they lean away, they're creating distance, either emotional or physical. A tilted head often signals attentiveness or submission, while a stiff, upright posture may indicate defensiveness or the need to assert dominance. None of these movements happen by accident. They are the body's way of expressing what the mouth doesn't dare to say. Even the smallest movements carry meaning. A foot tapping under the table can reveal impatience or nervous energy. Crossing and uncrossing legs repeatedly might mean discomfort. Someone who constantly adjusts their seat or repositions their belongings is unsettled, uneasy in their environment. Compare that to the person who sits still, grounded, calm. Their body communicates self-possession and confidence without a single word. The face, of course, is one of the most telling canvases of all. A slight twitch in the jaw can reveal tension or anger. Raised eyebrows might signal surprise or doubt. Narrowed eyes can indicate suspicion or scrutiny. And then there are the fleeting expressions, the micro signals that last less than a second, but expose true emotion before a person can mask it. You may not consciously see them every time, but you feel them. With practice, you can train yourself to recognize those flashes of authenticity before they disappear. Consider how body language shifts depending on relationships. Watch two people in conversation. If their bodies mirror each other, crossing legs at the same time, leaning in together, nodding in sync, it usually means they are connected, aligned, and comfortable with each other. But when one person's body language clashes with the others, when one leans in while the other leans back, or when one faces directly but the other angles away, you can sense disconnection, resistance, or lack of trust. These silent cues reveal far more about the quality of the relationship than words ever could. Now, here's the key. You must not only notice body language, you must interpret it in context. A person crossing their arms isn't always defensive. Sometimes they're simply cold. Someone tapping their foot may be nervous, or they may just be keeping rhythm with music in their head. This is why awareness requires patience. You don't jump to conclusions based on one signal. You watch patterns, clusters of behavior. One gesture may mean little on its own, but 3 or 4 aligned signals paint a clear picture. The power of body language isn't just in reading others, it's in controlling your own. Understand this, the way you hold yourself is a message. If you walk into a room, slouched, avoiding eye contact, shrinking into your chair, you're silently telling everyone you lack confidence, even if you try to speak with authority. On the other hand, if you walk in upright, grounded, making steady eye contact, you project strength before saying a single word. People decide how to treat you long before you open your mouth. They read you the same way you're learning to read them. This is why mastering body language gives you both defense and offense. Defense because you can detect lies, hidden motives, or insecurity before it harms you. Offense because you can project authority, presence, and credibility without having to argue for it. Silence becomes your ally. Your body communicates the message before you speak. And the better you control that message, the more influence you hold. Look back at the moments in your life where you felt uneasy around someone. Chances are their words were fine, but their body betrayed them. Maybe their smile was forced, their movements were erratic, or their posture was too rigid. You sensed something was off, and later you discovered you were right. That's the power of body language. It doesn't lie. When the words and the body are out of sync, trust the body. It's the raw truth. Practice this everywhere. On the train, in a cafe, at work, even watching television interviews. Study people. Don't just hear them, watch them. See how their hands move when they're uncomfortable. Notice how their shoulders rise slightly when they're anxious. Pay attention to how couples synchronize their movements when they're truly connected. Treat every interaction as a classroom, and the world becomes your teacher. Because the reality is this, people can manipulate words, but they cannot fully control their bodies. Something will always slip, a gesture, a movement, a shift in posture. And when you train your eyes to catch it, you gain an edge. most people will never have. You'll walk through life with awareness, clarity, and strength. You won't just listen to what people say, you'll hear the truth in what they cannot hide. That is the power of body language. It is louder, stronger, and far more honest than words. And once you become fluent in it, you'll never be blind to the truth again. Every person you encounter carries a certain energy with them. You feel it before they even open their mouth. Sometimes you walk into a room and immediately feel at ease because the people there radiate warmth, openness, and calm. Other times you step into a space and without anyone saying a word, the air feels heavy, tense, and uncomfortable. That is not coincidence. That is not imagination. That is energy, and energy never lies. You've felt it before. You've met someone who looked perfect on paper, said all the right things, and smiled at the right moments, but something inside you didn't feel settled. You couldn't explain it, but you knew something was off. That uneasiness was your body picking up on the silent energy they carried. And then there are those times you've met a complete stranger, and within moments you felt safe, seen, and connected. That wasn't their words, it was their presence. Energy is the vibration a person puts out into the world. It's shaped by their emotions, their intentions, their confidence, or their insecurities. A manipulator may cloak themselves in charm, but their energy often carries desperation, control, or darkness. A genuine person doesn't need to convince you with long speeches. Their energy alone tells you they are real. And once you learn to tune into this, you will never again ignore your instincts. The truth is, energy speaks louder than any gesture or facial expression because it can't be hidden. People can fake smiles, they can rehearse handshakes, they can mimic confidence, but they cannot fake the way their presence feels to others. You either feel peace around someone or you feel drained. You either feel safe or you feel on edge. That gut feeling people talk about is not random. It is your subconscious reading the silent frequency of someone's energy. When someone walks into a room, the atmosphere shifts. Watch closely and you'll notice it. Some people light up a space simply by entering. Conversations open up. People relax. Laughter flows more easily. Others bring heaviness with them. Voices drop. People pull back and the energy contracts. That shift is real. If you pay attention to it, you'll learn to read people before they ever interact with you directly. Think about the times you ignored this feeling. Maybe you trusted someone because they seemed nice, even though you felt uneasy. Later, you realized your instincts were right. They betrayed you, lied to you, or used you. The signs were there, but you pushed them aside because you didn't want to seem paranoid or judgmental. Understand this. Your instincts are a survival mechanism. They are ancient, hardwired into you to keep you safe. The more you trust them, the sharper they become. Energy also reveals what words cannot. For example, someone may insist they're confident, but if they carry nervous, scattered energy, you'll sense the contradiction. A leader may try to appear calm under pressure, but if they're radiating stress and tension, the whole team feels it. Energy leaks into the environment, and people pick it up unconsciously. That's why you can walk into a meeting and immediately sense whether things are going well or whether conflict is brewing, even before anyone speaks. And here's the part most people don't realize. You too are broadcasting energy all the time. People are reading you whether you want them to or not. If you carry insecurity, desperation, or resentment, others will feel it. If you radiate confidence, calm, and strength, others will feel that too. This is why mastering energy awareness is not just about detecting others. It's about controlling the energy you put into the world. Because the way people respond to you often has nothing to do with what you say and everything to do with how you make them feel. So, how do you sharpen your ability to read energy? Start by paying attention to how you feel around people. Don't dismiss it. Ask yourself, do I feel lighter or heavier when I'm with this person? Do I feel drained or uplifted? Do I feel tense or at peace? Your body knows the answer before your mind tries to rationalize it away. Trust the shift in your mood, your breathing, your sense of safety. That is energy revealing itself. Next, observe group dynamics. Notice how people respond when a certain individual speaks. Do they lean in with interest or do they stiffen with discomfort? Do they smile more freely or do they shut down? Energy influences others, like ripples in water. By watching how people react to each other, you can see who carries power, who carries tension, and who carries negativity. Energy is also contagious. Spend enough time with someone anxious, and you'll start to feel anxious too. Be around someone confident, and you'll feel yourself stand taller. That's why you must be careful about the company you keep. If someone's energy consistently drains you, that is not a relationship worth keeping. Protect your peace because your own energy is your most valuable currency. When you learn to read energy, you stop being surprised by people's true intentions. The friend who drains you every time you meet, their energy is revealing selfishness or insecurity. The coworker who walks into the office and lifts everyone's spirits, their energy carries leadership and positivity. The stranger who gives you chills, despite saying nothing offensive, their energy is warning you to stay cautious. These are truths that words can't mask. And the most powerful part is this: when you master awareness of energy, you begin to influence it. You become the person who steadies a room, who commands attention without raising your voice, who radiates strength that others can feel. You become the anchor in chaos, the calm presence people naturally respect. That doesn't happen by accident. It happens because you've trained yourself to carry intentional energy and to recognize the energy of others. So stop dismissing that inner voice that whispers when something feels wrong. Stop ignoring the unease in your chest when someone's presence doesn't sit right with you. Stop pushing aside the sense of calm and connection you feel with certain people. Those signals are not illusions. They are the most honest communication taking place. People may lie, body language may be disguised, but energy cannot be faked. Once you learn to trust what you feel as much as what you see, you unlock a skill most people never develop. You become harder to deceive, harder to manipulate, harder to shake, because while others get distracted by charming words or fake smiles, you're tuned into the truth that lies beneath the energy that never lies. What people choose not to say often speaks louder than what they actually say. Silence is a language of its own, and once you learn to listen to it, you gain access to truths most people overlook. Every hesitation, every pause, every detail that is conveniently skipped tells you something about the person in front of you. Words can be rehearsed, but silence is raw. It slips through unconsciously, revealing fear, avoidance, or guilt. If you want to master the art of reading people, you must train yourself not only to hear what is spoken, but to analyze what is left unsaid. Think about the last time you asked someone a direct question, and instead of answering, they gave you everything except the answer. They danced around it, gave you irrelevant details, maybe even laughed it off. They thought they were clever, but all they really did was confirm they didn't want to tell you the truth. That gap, that avoidance, was louder than any explanation they could have given. When people pause too long before responding, when they over-explain, or when they suddenly go quiet, that silence is the real answer. In conversation, most of us are conditioned to fill space. We feel uncomfortable when silence stretches too long, so we rush to break it. But here's the truth: if you learn to sit with silence, to hold it without fear, you give others space to reveal themselves. When someone is lying or hiding something, silence becomes unbearable for them. They'll rush to fill it, and in that rush, they often slip up. Their words stumble, their story changes, or their body language cracks. You don't even have to interrogate them, just give them silence and let their own discomfort expose them. Notice the gaps in their stories, too. A person who is being genuine usually shares naturally, with consistency, but someone hiding something tends to leave holes. They skip key details, they gloss over timelines, they jump from one point to another, hoping you won't notice. And if you press them gently, asking them to go back and clarify, they either get defensive or suddenly remember something they forgot. That inconsistency is not random. It is a gap in their honesty. It's not only about deception, though. Gaps also reveal insecurity, fear, or vulnerability. Sometimes someone doesn't say what they really feel because they're scared of judgment. Other times they don't speak because they've been silenced too many times before. If you're observant, you can tell the difference between silence that hides guilt and silence that hides pain. One carries a defensive energy. The other carries a weight of sadness or fear. Both are important to notice because they tell you what words cannot. Another powerful clue lies in over-explaining. When someone feels the need to justify themselves with unnecessary detail, that's often a red flag. Truth is usually simple and direct. Lies require decoration. So if someone gives you a 5-minute explanation for a question that could have been answered in one sentence, pay attention. The clutter of words is meant to distract you from the gap, the one thing they don't want you to notice. Hesitation is another form of silence that speaks volumes. You ask a simple question, and instead of a natural flow, there's a pause, a stall, a delay. That delay is their brain scrambling, searching for a believable response. Even if the words that follow sound convincing, the hesitation already gave them away. People who are being authentic rarely need to think so hard about the truth. It comes out easily. The longer the silence before the answer, the louder the message that something is being hidden. This is why listening to the gaps requires patience. Most people are in such a hurry to talk that they don't notice what's missing. They focus on the noise, not the silence. But the ones who truly understand human behavior know that silence is never empty. It is filled with information. If you can resist the urge to jump in, if you can hold your tongue and simply observe, people will eventually reveal themselves in the very spaces they tried to conceal. Think about relationships. You can often tell more about how someone feels by what they don't say than by what they do. A partner who avoids talking about the future is silently telling you they don't see one with you. A friend who never celebrates your success is silently revealing jealousy. A colleague who doesn't correct false assumptions about you in a meeting is silently showing where their loyalty lies. Silence is not neutral, it is a decision, and when you learn to interpret it, you see truths that others miss. Sometimes silence is strategic. Powerful people often use it deliberately. They don't rush to answer questions. They don't reveal everything at once. They understand that silence makes others uncomfortable. And in that discomfort, people tend to reveal more than they should. If you learn to embrace silence the way powerful people do, you'll gain control in any interaction. You'll realize you don't always need to speak to dominate a conversation. Sometimes the less you say, the more authority you project. Pay attention also to the tone of silence. There's a difference between silence that feels calm and silence that feels tense. One is composed, grounded, and intentional. The other is nervous, jittery, and filled with unspoken words. You don't just hear silence, you feel it. And the more you tune in, the more you'll notice those emotional vibrations hiding in the pauses. Here's the truth. Words may deceive, but silence always betrays. It's the skipped answer, the nervous laugh, the missing detail, the pause that lasts a little too long. Once you learn to listen for these gaps, you'll stop taking people's words at face value. You'll start analyzing what isn't being said just as much as what is. And in doing so, you'll step into a deeper level of awareness most people never reach. So the next time you're in conversation, don't just hear the words. Listen to the silence between them. Watch for the pauses, the avoided topics, the details left out. Let people reveal themselves in the gaps, because the truth is rarely hidden in what people say. It's almost always hiding in what they don't. The ability to read people without words is not just a clever trick. It is both a shield and a sword, a form of silent power that can protect you from harm and also give you influence in any situation. Too often, people move through life defenseless. They take everyone at face value, trust too easily, and ignore the signals that danger or deception is right in front of them. Then when they get betrayed, manipulated, or blindsided, they say, "I never saw it coming." But the truth is, they could have seen it. The signals were there all along. If you master this skill, you won't just survive, you'll thrive, because you'll know how to defend yourself while also stepping into rooms with a presence that commands respect. First, let's talk about the shield. When you can read people, you protect yourself from liars, manipulators, and those who wish to take advantage of you. Think about how many scams, toxic relationships, and bad deals could have been avoided if someone had just paid attention to the signs. The forced smile, the nervous laugh, the energy that didn't match the words. All of these were warnings. Reading people is not about being suspicious of everyone, but it is about being aware. It's about understanding that words alone are never enough to judge someone's character. Actions, posture, tone, and silence tell you far more. That awareness is your shield. Imagine being in a negotiation and sensing the other person's nervous energy, even while they insist they're confident. Imagine being on a date and noticing that their body language doesn't align with the charming words they're using. Imagine spotting the hesitation in someone's story, the gap in their explanation, the flicker in their eyes that betrays what they really feel. That is your protection. Instead of walking blindly into traps, you catch them before they close around you. Instead of being the one who gets played, you're the one who sees the game before it begins. But this skill is more than defense, it's also offense. It is your sword. Reading people allows you to lead, to influence, and to hold power without ever raising your voice. Why? Because when you understand people at their core, you know how to move them. You know when to push and when to pull back. You know when someone is ready to hear your message. And when they're not, you know how to build trust by recognizing what they need in the moment, even when they don't say it out loud. That's what makes leaders magnetic. That's what makes certain individuals walk into a room and immediately own it without saying a word. Think about the people you admire most. It's not just what they say, it's how they make you feel. They see you, they read you, they respond not only to your words, but to your energy, your posture, your silence. That is why they have influence. They are fluent in human behavior, and that fluency makes them powerful. You can cultivate the same power by noticing the signals others ignore. You gain a level of awareness that makes you stand out. People will sense it, they won't know why, but they'll feel that you understand them more deeply than most. That makes you unforgettable. Here's something else to understand. When you use this skill as a sword, you don't have to use force. The sharpest swords are often kept in their sheath. Influence is subtle. Sometimes it's holding silence a little longer, so the other person reveals more than they intended. Sometimes it's mirroring someone's body language, so they feel more connected to you without realizing why. Sometimes it's choosing not to react to manipulation because you already saw it coming, and instead maintaining calm authority. That restraint, that presence, makes you someone people can't easily shake. This is why people who can read others well rise faster. They navigate relationships with precision. They avoid toxic situations because they sense them early. They build stronger alliances because they see what others need before it's spoken. They make smarter decisions because they trust both what they see and what they feel. And when they walk into any situation, whether it's a business meeting, a social event, or a personal conflict, they are already armed. They are shielded from lies and equipped with influence. But here's the truth you must embrace. This skill requires practice. You can't just hear about it once and expect to be a master. You must train yourself daily. Observe people in every setting. Watch their gestures, notice their silences, tune into their energy, test your instincts. Did your gut say someone was nervous and later they admitted it? Did your eyes notice discomfort before they confessed it? Each time you're right, you strengthen your ability. And each time you're wrong, you refine your accuracy. This is a lifelong practice, but one that pays back tenfold. Now think about how powerful you become when you combine shield and sword. You cannot be manipulated, and at the same time you can influence without forcing. You can protect yourself from betrayal while also earning trust more easily. You can walk into a hostile room and sense the tension, then shift the energy simply by how you hold yourself. That is a level of control most people never achieve because they never learn to see beyond words. Ask yourself, what would it mean for your life if you were never blindsided again? If you could sense deception before it touched you? If you could walk into every interaction not only safe, but also powerful? That is what the skill offers you. It is the armor that keeps you from being harmed, and the weapon that allows you to lead. Few people ever master it, but those who do carry an advantage that sets them apart in every arena of life. So commit to it. Commit to sharpening your awareness until it becomes instinct. Commit to reading people so clearly that you see their truth even when they try to hide it. Commit to using it, not to manipulate, but to protect and to empower. Because in a world full of noise and deception, the person who sees the truth without a word being spoken is the one who cannot be fooled, and the one who holds the real power. When you master the art of reading people without a single word, you step into a realm of awareness most will never reach. You are no longer walking through life blind, hoping people are who they say they are. You can see beyond the masks, beyond the rehearsed smiles, beyond the polished words. You recognize the truth in their silence, their posture, their energy. You carry with you a shield that protects you from deception, betrayal, and manipulation, and a sword that allows you to influence, connect, and lead with unshakable presence. This is not about judging people. It's about protecting your peace and elevating your power. It's about stepping into every room knowing that you can sense what others miss. Most people live distracted, only half aware of the signals around them. But you are not most people. You are sharpening your instincts. You are training your eyes, your ears, your awareness to catch what's real and discard what's fake. That makes you stronger. That makes you dangerous to those who would try to play you. But with power comes responsibility. Use this skill wisely. Do not weaponize it to manipulate or control. Use it to protect, to understand, to lead with clarity and confidence. Because when you truly see people, you also see their humanity. You recognize pain behind anger, insecurity behind arrogance, and truth behind silence. And when you understand that, you carry an advantage that is not only powerful, but deeply human. So from this moment forward, commit to being awake. Train yourself to see, pay attention to the details others ignore. Don't just listen to words, listen to silence, watch the body, feel the energy. If you do, you will never again be caught off guard. You will walk into every situation with the quiet confidence of someone who knows the truth before it's spoken. And remember this, awareness is your armor, presence is your power, and mastery of human behavior is your path to unshakable strength. When you can read people without words, you don't just survive, you rise above, untouchable, unstoppable, undeniable.